Hello everyone, this is Professor Raghavendra Adhyapak, KLS Kokti College of Commerce, Belagavi. So in today's class, we are going to study about the next concept called types of bond risk. Okay, so regarding risk, we already studied in the first chapter. Okay, so in this concept, we are going to study about what are the risk associated with the bonds. Okay, अगर bond में invest कर रहे हो, so what are the different risk you may face that we are going to learn or study in this concept. Okay, so in that, first type is interest rate risk. So what is interest rate risk? The risk associated with the interest rate on an investment or a bond, that is known as interest rate risk. For example, we purchased one bond. Okay, so that interest rate is 12%, but due to the certain adverse effects in the market, like reduce in the demand or maybe shortage in the supply or any other economic condition, due to different factors, the interest rate may fluctuates. Okay, so with the expectation of 10% or 15% we invested, but actually we getting only 8%, 9%, like that. The interest rate will change due to the different aspects of the economy. Okay, so such kind of risk is known as interest rate risk. Okay, next is reinvestment risk. Okay, so what is a reinvestment? For example, now we purchased one bond for rupees 1000 with a interest of 12%. Okay, so for the 5 years, so we think that it is a really good investment, and wherever we have the money, that we plan for again the investment in the same kind of bonds. Okay, but what will happen in reinvestment risk? This is the risk associated with a reinvestment, means one time we're getting the good result. Okay, so for the same, if you are planning for the reinvest, at that time we are not getting the as much as good we got at the first time. Okay, for example, I told that 1000 bonds we getting the 12% result, but suddenly after 1 year, if you go for purchasing of the same bonds, you're getting hardly 7 or 6% of return, means almost half, right? So in that case, we will not go for the reinvestment in such bonds, right? So such kind of risk associated with the reinvestment is known as reinvestment risk. Okay, next is call risk. Okay, so regarding call, we already studied in the types of bonds. Okay, call option bond, put option bond, correct? So what is call option? Call option means where the issuer calls for the bond before its maturity. Okay, so यहाँ पे क्या होता है, हमारा रिटर्न क्या होता है, रिड्यूस होता है. कैसे रिड्यूस होता है? फॉर एग्जाम्पल, we purchased 1000 rupees bond with a 5 years maturity with a 12% rate of return. Okay, that is call option is available on that bond. So suddenly that issuer or a company calls for a bonds after the 2 years, means we lost the next 3 years return, correct? So even though they are paying the 2 years return plus principal amount whatever we invested 1000 rupees, but still we invested with the planning of getting the return for next 5 years, correct? But within the 2 years they go for the call and we lost the next 3 years return, correct? So the risk associated with such type of call by the issuer of the bonds is known as call risk. Okay, next is default risk. Okay, so what is default risk? Default risk is a risk where the issuer of the bond is not able to pay the interest on the investment or principal amount, okay, in time. Okay, so यहाँ पे क्या होता है? For example, you purchased a one bond, okay, of some XYZ company. If company is not able to pay the interest on it, okay, timely, periodically, for example, they're paying annually 12% return, but company is not able to pay the 12% return annually, or even though they pay the full return, but when it comes to maturity, they are not able to pay the principal amount, whatever amount you invested, that principal amount. So like that, when company fails to pay the interest or principal amount, the such kind of risk or defaults are known as default risk. Okay, so that is default risk. Next is inflation risk. So already regarding the inflation we studied in the first chapter. Okay, so we already know that when there is a inflation, obviously there is a reduce in the return. Correct, huh? What is inflation? Inflation is nothing but reduction in the value of the money and increase in the prices of the commodities. Okay, commodities का प्राइस क्या होता है, इंक्रीज होता है, और वैल्यू ऑफ द मनी क्या होता है, रिड्यूस होता है. करेक्ट. सो due to the inflation, what will happen? There will be a decrease in the return. Correct. So such kind of risk associated with the inflation, which leads to reduce in the value of the return, then it is known as a inflation risk. Okay, so जो कुछ भी inflation के जुड़ा हुआ risk होता है उसको क्या बोलते हैं हम, inflation risk. Okay, next is liquidity risk. So what is liquidity? So I think you know that what is liquidity. Easy convertibility of the securities or any other assets into cash. Correct, that is known as liquidity. So what is liquidity risk? So when you are not able to sell your bonds very easily and get the money, then it is known as liquidity risk. Okay, for example, you have one government bond. Okay, so for government bonds there is always market, you can sell it easily, government bonds, because many are there who will purchase those bonds and they will pay you, right? So you can sell it easily in case of government bonds. But if you are having a one XYZ company bond, okay, you purchased it, but after purchasing of 1 year, the company is not performing well and they are not paying the proper return. You feel that there is no profit by holding those investment of that company and you wanted to sell it. Okay, so when you go for the sell, even the market people are know that this company is not performing well, then the people will not easily purchase your bonds in the market of that company, that XYZ company. So at this time you struggle to sell your investment or that bond. Okay, so such kind of risk is known as liquidity risk. So in simple terms, liquidity risk is the risk which is associated with converting of the bonds into cash or easy convertibility of the securities into cash. Okay, such kind of risk is known as what, liquidity risk. Okay, so remaining part we will see in the next class.